Hello, Hildron here from the CC, here today to talk about screens of death for the Mac. We'll get started with a pretty iconic one. The sad Mac is pretty recognizable by just about everybody, and it was created with the original Macintosh. You would only see it if you had a startup failure. You can also see it on startup if you try to interrupt the system. There was a debugging console you can open up on the Mac, and if you tried to open it up while the system was booting, you would see the sad Mac symbol. The sad Mac symbol wasn't just an icon with this type of crash, but it also played a crash sound on startup if the system failed to boot, and it sounded a little bit like this. Different Macs at the time had different crash sounds. Another error that was introduced around the same time with the original systems was a system error, also known as the bomb screen. This did not show up on startup because it was not relating to a startup error. It only showed up if the system encountered a crash, and if you're lucky, the restart button on the window would let you restart the computer automatically. If not, you had to actually shut down the computer yourself and then turn it back on. Those error screens lasted for quite a long time, but when the Mac system was rewritten with OS X, a kernel panic was the type of screen that displayed error information. So if the system entered a state where if it continued to run it would most likely get corrupted, it caused itself to crash and it would display error information for the user. However, most people did not understand what any of this meant, so Apple simplified it along the way. In version 10.2 of OS X, this type of kernel panic was displayed. If the crash was severe enough, it would display log information, but most of the time a user would just see this, and it's a lot more simple. It tells them they need to restart their computer, and that's really all they need to know. This design lasted for quite a while, it just had a little bit of a color scheme change. This design, specifically with the color scheme change, lasted in version 10.3 to 10.5, and most likely with the previous one as well, it had an animation like this. When the system failed, the screen would dim, and the error screen would show up like this. Snow Leopard and Lion, also known as 10.6 and 10.7, had the same type of error screen, except the kernel panic had one additional language on the error screen itself, and that language is Spanish.